Today on the Loupe Market Report, we will be looking at a couple players, a basketball player that's popping in the postseason, a baseball player that's dipping during the middle of the season, a football player that might be poised to boom going into the season, and two soccer players that just won the biggest cup final in club football history. Let's get right into it. Welcome back, everyone, to another Loupe Market Report. My name is Aaron, one of your hosts for today, and we will be looking at a bunch of different cards trending in the market. But before getting into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the current market dip. We referenced it a couple weeks ago, but I really want to just talk for a brief second about the dip and if you should be buying, if you should be waiting, or really what's best for you. And for me, the best thing for myself to do is to look at rare cards in the marketplace that I believe are going to gain demand for years to come. A lot of people have a really short lens on the industry right now, thinking about how can they make money from day to day, or is it right to buy a base card today, grade it, flip it later, or just buy a super populated card. And in my opinion, the best thing to do is to not buy the very highly populated cards, because we talked about before, there will be a ton of PSA grading submissions coming back over the next 3 months. And it'd be best to stay away, I think, from the cards. They're just going to keep rising exponentially in Pop Report, but instead focus on the ones that are serial numbered, that really determines the scarcity and the demand for that card versus what the current Pop Report is, or look at super short prints that have a really low pop and won't get much more, cards graded by PSA in the near future. Now, along with that, you need to look at your current collection and think about what have I potentially made money on so far, and is it right for me to sell right now? Like recently, I just sold a card I've been holding for over a year, and it is definitely down like 50% from the peak price, which was a couple months ago, but it was right for me to sell it now because I know I can take that money, I can go buy more stuff, and buy stuff I think dipped enough, then I can grade, that I can hold on for the next year or whatever it is. But in reality, if you are in the industry right now and you believe long-term in it, is a great time to look at scarce pieces that collectors want that they will be looking to acquire for years to come. And that's really what determines the market value of a card. I know that some stuff gets overinflated too fast. Some stuff drops a lot. That happens in the market. It's very volatile, and we've seen that for the last year and a half. But long-term, what really matters is, does a collector want it? How badly do they want it? And how frequently can they find it? If you keep those things in mind and do your research based on that, with scarcity, with serial numbered and pop reports, and look at players that are going to progress over time, that's really where you want to be sitting, because years back in the industry, 3-4 years ago, that's how it went. It was very player dependent. Are they adding to their legacy? Are they gaining more demand because of something that they do? And we will talk about that later in the episode as well with the soccer cards I will be discussing. But for now, let's pitch it over to Sam, and Sam is going to go with our basketball market report.
Hey, SlabStox Sam here for your update on the basketball card market. The Philadelphia 76ers are marching their way right through their first round matchup with the Washington Wizards, and just as they've done all season, they're finding their wins riding the success of star big man Joel Embiid. Through the first 3 games of the playoffs, he's averaging 29 points, 7 rebounds, and just under 3 assists, with a steal and nearly a block per game as well. His Game 3 36-point performance represented a playoff career high for the 7-footer. Now, these are just the latest results of what has been the best season of Joel Embiid's career. He seems to have taken his diet and physique much more seriously this year than in years past, and like with his Western Conference counterpart Nikola Jokic, the added attention to their bodies has catapulted both of them into the MVP conversation for the first time. That just goes to show how special both of these players are. Now, unlike Jokic, Embiid is an extremely gifted defender. In the minutes when he was on the court, the 76ers featured a defensive rating of 105.8, and as an individual, he ranks in the top 20 players in the league by defensive real plus minus. But while he's patrolling the paint effectively on the defensive end, it's on the other side of the ball where he's become an unstoppable force. There are simply very few players in the league with both the size and the agility to stick in front of Embiid and keep him away from the hoop. He applies such immense pressure on the basket that he really doesn't need multiple stars alongside him to be successful, and the whole court sort of just opens up for role players around him, similar to the way that the Bucks operate around Giannis in Milwaukee. And the Sixers have found tremendous success as a team with that formula, but on the individual level as well. There are very few games when Embiid can be contained. In his 51 games this season, only 10 times did he score under 20 points. It's a level of offensive inevitability that has become exceedingly rare at the center position. Now, like most of the NBA card market, many of Embiid's cards have decreased in prices over the past 3 months or so. Looking at his 2014 Select Concourse Silver PSA 10 rookie card, while it is down over the past few months, looking back into last summer, we're still sitting higher than at pretty much any other point over the course of the past year. Now, this specific card is a Select Concourse again, which is the lowest level of the Select set, but it is still a very rare card, relatively speaking. Only 94 PSA 10s in existence, making this, in my opinion, an excellent investment choice in the long run. Low pop of a uniquely gifted player who's taken a huge leap this year and figures to build off it in the coming years. Big things still coming for Embiid's game and, I believe, his basketball card market. Next, let's send it over to Nate for our baseball card market update.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Nate here with your Baseball Loupe Market Report, and today we are going to be talking about Juan Soto. Now, Juan Soto has been struggling this year. We're talking under an 800 OPS. We're talking a 267 average, a 387 on base percentage, which is really nice, but his slugging is also only at 385, so he has been struggling. Now, there's a couple things that are nice about Juan Soto. One is his 16.6% walk rate and his 12.9% K rate. Those are the two things that you look at and you say, okay, he's still walking and he's still not striking out, but he is struggling. So what is going on here? And the simple answer is he's grounding out more and he's infield fly balling more. I don't know how else to say that. But he's grounding out significantly more than in years past. He is, in fact, grounding out a 55.7% of the time, which is a career high, and infield fly ball rate of north of 7%, which is also second highest of his career. You add those two things together, and there is a lot of balls that don't really have a chance at getting a hit. And then you add in the fact that his hard contact rate is down from last year and his medium contact rate is up. If he was blistering baseballs consistently on the ground, he's going to sneak some through. But if he's medium and soft contact on ground balls, less likely for that 55% ground ball rate to play. And you add in the 7% infield fly ball rate, and 62% of his hits, almost 63% of his, or not hits, contact, are going to be balls that probably are not going to go for a hit. And then you add in, the fly balls to the outfield and line drives that are caught, and you see a guy that is now struggling. Now, the walk rate is still nice, the strikeout rate is still nice. He just needs to flip a few things. Ground ball a little bit less, right? And start hitting the ball a little bit harder. His hard hit rate is low, like we talked about. Not super low. He didn't trade off hard hit rate with soft contact rate, but he did trade it for medium contact. If he can start hitting the ball a little bit harder, barreling it up more, his barrel percentage is low this year compared to past years. In fact, it is 9.6%, which is a career low. If he can barrel it up more and get it off the ground a little bit more, you're going to look at Juan Soto back again as one of the best hitters in baseball. And so let's look at these prices here for the SlabStox Pro portion of this. And right away, you'll see we were at 2,676. There's something weird going on with those cents there, but $2,676 on there a couple months ago in March, and then it just slowly goes down. And the last sale was May 4th for $1,725. Now he's been struggling since then, so the price may be a little bit lower next auction we get for his Topps update short print hands-on hips PSA 10 here. That's the card we're talking about. And $1,725, it may even be a little bit lower than that. So if you are a believer in Juan Soto and you believe he can turn around his ground ball rates and his isolated power, which is at a 119, which is insanely low, and his BABIP is at .288, which is insanely low. If you believe he can increase those things and get back to being Juan Soto, his eye's still good, now he just has to make hard contact again, then I would buy in, and I would buy in now because he's going to come back, and he's going to come back with a vengeance. Now on to football for the Football Market Report. We are going to be talking about Russell Wilson, but not necessarily about what Russell Wilson can do. It's more about what Julio Jones could do for Russell Wilson. Now, there is a rumor going around that Julio Jones is on the market because of a ESPN First Take thing, or maybe it was Undisputed, I don't remember. But there is a rumor going around that Julio Jones is on the market, and there's a number of teams in for him. Tennessee Titans is one of them, but the Rams were another one of them. But now you have the Seahawks in the mix, and the question here is, what is that going to do to Russell Wilson's market if they have DK Metcalf, a beast of a wide receiver, and then they add Julio Jones, who is of the same ilk of wide receiver as DK Metcalf, insanely big and insanely fast compared to other wide receivers in the league. It's going to be interesting. I don't have much to say about Russell Wilson's skill or Julio Jones' skill at this point. Obviously, he's older. He's like 32 now, and he's been injured quite a bit. But the hype around Russell Wilson, if they manage to land Julio Jones with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, is going to be incredible. So if we're looking at his prices here, early March, we're talking $975 for a Topps Chrome base PSA 10. And then it went up a little bit, and then end of March it was up $1,100. Not a ton of sales here. And then it slowly creeps down till the last sale on May 27th is $726, which is a solid $200 down from what it started at in March. And so, the question is, where can it go from here if Russell Wilson does, in fact, end up landing Julio Jones? Does Julio Jones make them a playoff, a Super Bowl contender? I don't know. He doesn't play that many games. He might get 10 to 13 games for you. He's getting older. Their defense is still not great. So is a Julio Jones going to set them above everyone else? I don't think so. But can it make Russell Wilson's market that much more interesting? And in fact, can it make Julio Jones's market that much more interesting if he's going to go play with Russell Wilson instead of Matt Ryan? Time will tell. I kind of hope he gets traded there because him and DK would be very exciting together. But we'll see. Now that is our football market report. On to Aaron for the soccer market report.
All right, here we are looking at the Kai Havertz 2018 Topps Chrome Bundesliga PSA 10 rookie card. Kai Havertz, if you watched the soccer game this weekend, Chelsea versus Man City, Chelsea won in the Champions League final. Thank goodness. I know you all heard me talking about it last weekend. But Kai scored the decisive goal on a beautiful pass from Mason Mount. Mason Mount, one of my favorite players. Actually, my favorite player with the great assist. Very wonderful to see. But Kai Havertz cards definitely heated up after that goal. So back in January, his PSA 10 was sitting around $150, and recently it spiked up to $230 when the soccer market heated up quite a lot in April, and then it dropped back down to $190, $180, $160, and then boom, hit a spike here. An auction ended for $261 the night of the Champions League final, and people were definitely looking into Kai Havertz again. That goal, adding to his legacy, getting that Champions League victory, it matters so much. A little bit for the short term, as we can see, as it popped up to $260, but it matters a lot for the long term. 2, 3, 4 years from now, who knows what Kai is doing, if he's still with Chelsea, probably. And as he was their largest transaction ever, they purchased him for around 70 million euros. That was huge. And as he adds to his legacy, and people look back, oh, remember when he won that Champions League for Chelsea with that decisive goal? That's the type of stuff that adds to legacies, like I was talking about in the intro. You want to look at players that are adding to their legacy that will be talked about in the future. And for myself, as a huge Chelsea fan, I've got a couple Kai Havertz cards and definitely looking to add more. Maybe, next fall. So during the summer, he might play well in the Euros for Germany, and his cards might go up even more. But if I can get them after prices settle a little bit, that's the important part. So if you're right now looking at Kai Havertz, just know that some of his prices are inflated because of that Champions League goal. But keep in mind that prices should come back down to some normalcy as the summer goes along, unless he plays just absolutely outstanding in the Euro and he's scoring a ton of goals for Germany. That could be the case, and then his cards could go even higher. But there's always that pro/con when looking at an investment, trying to figure out what do you want to buy, when, trying to get the best price. So keep that all in mind when you're looking at Kai Havertz. Next up is Mason Mount, of course, the player that dished the amazing assist to Kai Havertz. Mason Mount, my favorite player. I've got actually 2 of these now, a Sapphire PSA 10. I have one coming back from PSA and one that I got graded. And I am very excited about this card. Now, the population should go a bit higher. keep in mind that as you're buying. One of them I might have bought too high because of that. But this card is just beautiful. The Chelsea blue with the sapphire blue rookie card logo. Amazing card. I think it's probably one of his best rookie cards. And recently this card spiked over $800. It went up to $834 on May 22nd. And then as they won the Champions League, down to $735, and then the last auction sold last night for $600. So this is the case. We see demand go up as they go into the final, and then after the final, they win. Mason Mount didn't score in the final. He had that amazing assist, and I know that all you soccer fans out there can really appreciate that, but the general market and the dollars going into it, that might not be enough to make it pop like crazy like that Kai Havertz. Like if Mount was the one that scored that goal, instead of Kai, maybe we're seeing this card going over $1,000, but instead it's down to $600. I really love the card. I love Mason Mount. In my opinion, it's a great card to pick up. Now, of course, do research on your own. See what the current pop report is, what it might be in the future. Definitely don't want to overspend, like I was saying earlier, on cards that are going to keep on getting more graded. But for me, I'm okay with holding 2 of them because I love Mason Mount. I think he's going to be an outstanding player long term, and he's going to be big for England this summer and the following fall in the World Cup. So I'm definitely holding on to those, no question about it. All right, everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of the Loupe Market Report powered by SlabStox. I hope you all enjoyed, learned some things about the current market trends, heard a little bit about the buy the dip talk, and can go back home and do some research and figure out what's right for you to buy and when, because in reality, it is up to you. It is collect what you like. It is invest in what you like. And you can't go wrong if you're doing that. And that's how I view it too. And I'm very happy with some of the cards I got recently. You all can check me out at SlabStox Aaron on Instagram if you do want to see some of those cards I've been picking up. Otherwise, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next Loupe Market Report powered by SlabStox.